It's also a really good time to talk about real estate because we had a bunch of big changes this weekend.
Oh, we did?
Beautiful. Don't tell us now.
I won't tell you now, but
Okay.
I'll tell you again.
So
Past the fire, past the sounds. Moonshine through the clouds, saddle up, 'cause there's no stopping me now.
Boom!
Boom.
There we go. Another episode. Living well together
big life in a small town.
with most of a voice, but not a whole voice.
We are here today with Katie Malone Slone. It's the best name ever. Is that great?
It was an easy transition.
Yes. Yeah.
It really was.
No, I mean, yeah, because there's some names that are a big change. Like I went from Nardella to McCoskey, so I kept
Was that
Nardella
an
for a long
upgrade or
time.
not so?
Well, I kept both of them still, so yeah, I would say even
Yeah.
Steven.
All right.
I went from Italian to like Scots-Irish.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
But we're going to learn a lot about Katie today.
Oh, yeah.
You want to start with a little bit of your background?
Well, I'm from here, good old Fairborn.
Living a big life in our tiny little town.
Oh, yeah, always.
I love that.
And
Wait.
you went to school here? You were...
Oh, yeah, I was very involved. I went to Black Lane Elementary
Oh,
before I got...
Okay, that's dating yourself just a little
I
bit.
know.
That was way back in the 1900s.
Black Lane was amazing. I loved it.
It was the best elementary, wasn't it?
It really was.
Yeah, the people that went to Black Lane, they're like, I'm so glad I
Oh my
never
gosh, it
didn't
was
go
the
to
best.
The others, yeah.
And Blakely does cheerleading there now, my daughter, and she...
No.
So we'll go in there, and I'm like, oh, man, it seems so much bigger back then
Yeah.
than it is now, but...
So they actually use that building?
Uh-huh.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
so interesting.
I think I don't know for sure, but I think
Yeah.
just the cheerleaders do. It's like they use that gym, they've got it all set up, and that's where they practice.
But in our tiny town now, all of our, K through 5, and then our middle school people, and now our high school people all have brand new school buildings.
Beautiful.
It's
mean,
amazing.
our town is
Fairborn is
rocking.
uptown.
As far as,
Yes.
Yeah.
Now
I can't
that
wait.
anytime it gets brought up to anyone, they are immediately like, have you, that new school?
Now we're going to talk about
And
the importance
everybody
of that with your work,
Oh, yeah.
right?
And everybody sees it going down 675.
Yes.
You know, it's very obvious,
Yes.
but it's beautiful. It's actually kind of interesting. Their roof line is very much like Living Well Spine Center's
It
roof line.
is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I never thought about that. It
Which
really
the
is.
city of Fairborn hated when we were designing.
Initially,
Oh,
so it
yeah.
was kind of funny when
We had to go through
saw
some
it.
wrestling matches
I
to
know.
get here.
But it worked, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
It's something different, you know,
Right. Yeah, it
a
wasn't
little
the
bit of
classic.
change. But I think it's a good change for them. It's
Yeah.
beautiful.
Have you been in the building? In the
I miss the day they did the tour, but I've
Yeah.
done all the social media ones and just sat there watching them forever, and it's just so beautiful.
It's incredible. It's
I thought
incredible what
sometimes
they've
we
done.
have they have a gaming center, which I thought was really neat because my son's into gaming, and I'm like, that's cool. It's different and
Yep.
very
Yeah.
a now thing to do.
It is.
I can't wait to go to a football game.
I know. That's what I was
Me too.
thinking
I'm excited.
That's going to be awesome.
You were a cheerleader. You did
Yep.
football and basketball cheerleading. So that's what I was thinking. It's like, oh, that would have been so fun to.
Oh yeah, I did the whole thing. So when I got to middle school, that's when I started cheering. I played Fairborn girls softball.
Oh.
Since I was probably in third grade, I think, and I did that all the way up past high school till I was 21.
Holy
And
moly.
then I
Doing
did
softball?
it until they were like, okay, you're too old to do this. But I just loved
They
it.
made you
When they start-
retire?
Yes.
When they start calling you ma'am, you know it's time to quit.
Like, all right, I guess I'll find an adult league.
Put up your mitt.
Ma'am, you're going to
Yeah.
need to retire.
Do you play now in an adult league?
No.
Okay.
Blakely plays. It's fun
Yeah.
to watch her.
Yeah. Do you ever coach?
No. I feel like I have enough
Yes.
stuff going on. Trust me, I've thought about it. Not just softball, but cheerleading too, because I used to be a cheerleading coach.
Yeah.
And I'll be like, oh, I just get that little urge to want to do it again. And I'm like, no.
Lay down until the urge
Reel
goes
it back,
away.
Katie. And
Yeah.
Tyler's kind of that person that's like, hey, reel it back.
Yeah.
Like,
Good.
you don't have time for that.
Yes, it's good that there's some reality checks in there because you could say yes to lots of things.
Oh, yeah.
Because you're
And
already doing. Do
I'm
you want to
a
give
yes
us a list of all the things that you do currently?
I'm a mom. I'm a full-time real estate agent and a very busy one.
Yes.
I'm also an entrepreneur that runs Airbnbs and other investment properties. And then I'm, a wife, of course.
Yeah. And a
very
hostess.
important.
You love to have parties and
Yes.
do fun things.
Yes, I love doing all
Friends
that.
to lots of other people. And you're involved in the community too.
Yes, I stay busy.
What happened after you graduated from Fairborn High? What'd you do next?
Well, I went to Sinclair for a couple of years. School was never my thing. Just like I struggled, I feel like all through elementary, all the way through high school. I just really struggled to just keep my attention there. And I really feel like looking back on it, I probably could have gotten some assistance because I don't think people realized how bad I was struggling with it. I don't think I realized how bad I was struggling with it. But looking back on it, I mean, those were big things that were hard to overcome, like taking tests and stuff like that. And so I went to Sinclair, didn't love it. I went for business.
Yes.
Didn't keep my attention. And then I just decided, I'm not going to waste time here.
Yes.
I'm not going to waste money.
I love this so much.
And
this is a great story.
I would rather just let go of this for now and explore other things and figure it out on my own of what I wanted to do.
Yep.
Live life for a little bit. And
I did.
I think so many kids have fed the whole go to college line, and it's a complete scam.
Yeah.
Right? Not everybody's going to focus on academics, and not everybody needs academics to be successful. You have a very successful life without a college degree.
And that's something I feel like people don't talk about enough. I feel like that's still really put into everybody. Like, you need to go to college, you need to do this, and where are you going to go? And it's just like a set in stone for kids. And I'm like, actually, I have the opposite attitude. Like when people ask me, I'm like, no, like explore, figure it out. Yeah. And then if college is your route, then go down that road.
Right.
But,
if you're going to need that education for, like, if you wanted to become a chiropractor, like he couldn't he needs to get his license. He needs to have that degree.
Things you got to do.
So
but if you don't know,
no,
exactly,
it's fun to play, take some adventures, and then see what you're really passionate about.
Yeah, and I feel like if I really would have did it sooner, I think I would have got into real estate a lot sooner.
Okay.
And and I look back on it and think, I had friends who were real estate agents, and they literally reached out to me like, hey, Katie,
you'd be great.
And it's like one of those things you look back on and been like, oh man, maybe that was a sign then that I should have got into this. And then, obviously had to find my own way there. But
it was a seed that was planted, right?
Of course.
And then you just kind of watered it and nourished it until it's obviously blossoming in a huge, beautiful way now.
Yes, it's been amazing.
But tell me a little bit about your time in Florida, because that sounds like it was quite an adventure.
Yes, I was down there. I kind of moved around for a couple of years, but down there's it got me out of my comfort zone. I mean, Fairborn's small.
Yep.
And like I said, I was like very involved in Fairborn. So I saw the same people all the time. And, I built a community around here that I was very comfortable in.
Yeah.
So then I reached this time where I was like, okay, I'm going to go to Florida and I'm going to explore down there. And really got out of my comfort zone because I got into areas that the main language was Spanish.
Oh, wow.
And so I had to learn how to adapt to that. And then also meeting new people and creating relationships to be able to have jobs down there and to get by and do stuff. I'm not a homebody. I don't like to sit at home. I like to go do things. And so even finding somebody to go to the gym with or somebody to go out with and stuff like that, it had to get me out of my comfort zone.
I love that.
How long were you there?
Probably total 3 years.
Yeah.
I came back a lot because I spent a lot of time. My mom was very helpful with me when I was younger, as far as getting me out there to I always did promotional modeling, which now you see it's like an influencer, but instead I was a promotional model at events. So I would go and I'd represent a brand and I'd be like, hey, you want to try this brand? And, try to get them to try it. And I worked events like the BMX World Cup.
Really?
The Kentucky Derby for Sports Illustrated. I mean, I worked for big companies. Yeah. And then I also did modeling on the side.
Okay.
And that kind of got me out of my comfort zone too, of being able, because I come from introverts, and so that got me to kind of talk to people.
Okay.
And then I went to Florida and I kind of continued doing that. So mom could kind of help me kind of keep appointments set up there so I could go do that there. And also
your handler.
Yeah, she was tech savvy. She was good at getting on and just setting the appointments, and that helped me a lot.
So she was still up here, and she was setting these for you down in Florida.
Yep, and then when I would come home in the summers, I'd work as a summer hire on base.
Oh, that's awesome.
So, I mean, I was always dabbing my toe into a little bit of everything, and I think that's good. I think that's where it led me to where I'm at today, and definitely helped me be able to manage situations I get in now.
Beautiful.
Do you want to share any of those types of situations?
Oh, you never know what you're going to get with real estate.
I bet. bet.
I mean, it's one of those jobs. You work with people.
Yeah.
You never know the kind of person you're going to get, the kind of personality you're going to have to deal with.
The homes that you're going to go into.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I've, been in homes before where I've been uncomfortable and I need to learn to manage that situation. I've had situations where I've even gotten down to the closing table and had a buyer pass away. 2 days before we were supposed to close the apartment.
Heavens.
And having to manage okay, well, we're going back on the market and having to start fresh. I mean, you just never know.
Different every day.
Every day. I always tell new agents that I'm guiding. I'm you just never know what you're going to get into. Every deal is a different deal. And it's rare to get a very smooth, easy one.
Mm-hmm. So you have to be completely adaptable, know how to pivot, be flexible.
How to work with people.
Yeah.
Yep, and be understanding and guide. Because at the end of the day, I'm not just a real estate agent. I'm somebody that's helping
You're a counselor.
them. Exactly. I'm helping them through big moves in their lives, whether it's divorce, having a baby, getting married, their parents passed away and they got to sell their house, a big move for a job.
Yep.
I mean, these are big life things that happen for people. I mean, they're not just moving because they're bored. I mean, you rarely see that. So, you guide and adapt to different situations and different things going on.
Yeah, because those are big transitions.
Oh,
Moving is one of those top 5s, right?
Yep. Bob, where'd you meet Tyler?
Tyler?
Yeah, I want to go to real estate.
So Tyler it's actually funny because we crossed paths a few times.
Is he from Fairborn too?
No, he's from Bellbrook.
Oh, Bellbrook, okay.
Yes, he grew up
Did
in
you know him
Bellbrook.
before you moved to Florida or after you got
I
back?
met him during the time I was in Florida.
Yeah.
So I would come home in the summers and work here, and I would always meet up with my friends and go out to the green and stuff like that. That was fun to do in your early 20s. And I can
fun to do.
Oh yeah, it's still fun to do. And I recall a couple times us crossing paths and friends being like, "Oh, this is Tyler," and my friend Tara and her. I can't remember if he was a boyfriend or fiance at the time. Either way, he was Tyler's best friend. So one of my best friends, and then they got together. And then that's ultimately how we met. Yeah. Is multiple interactions with them.
Got it.
What was your first date?
Our first date was St. Patrick's Day. I don't know how great of a date it was.
Well, it was the first time you got to connect as official.
Yes. He asked me to meet up with a bunch of friends and go out for the night.
Yeah.
And it was fun. It was a good experience too because it was a totally different crowd for me. I'm again Fairborn, small town. Sure. So then going into another different crowd, learning who his friends were, and I feel like I met them all in that night. That one night, I mastered all his friends. So
did you like his friends?
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so, sometimes as long as if you like the friends, it's okay, I like your group. I can fit into
because you're not just getting the dude.
You're getting all of the other. Yeah, you're getting the whole thing.
That's
so you have to
so
like
true.
your group too.
Yes. Yep, that's so true. You get what you get. And so, yes, they were all wonderful. And actually, a couple of them ended up being on my side of the bridesmaids when we got married. So, yeah.
And you guys have been married how long?
12 years this week.
Hello.
Yes, it went fast.
It goes fast.
I love it, though.
Yeah.
It's been a crazy road for 12 years, but it's been an amazing one.
Yeah, you guys have had a lot of profound things happen in your life, some really big things and some really sad things too.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And you've been able to navigate through that. Any tips for people that might be managing that?
I feel like at the end of the day, it's just all about the support you have and supporting each other. And Tyler and I are very different on how we handle situations. I will say we're different, but at the same time, we both tend to box things up on our own, but then care for the other one. And so I think us realizing that over time and all the things we're going through is to just stop and be like, hey, are you okay? And, and handle all those situations that have been thrown at us that have all been different, not only for us, but also helping the family around us too.
Yes, for sure.
And both of us are very much in our family. We're like the, I don't know, the dominant one, the leader of the.
You were the go-tos.
Yes,
in the foundational support.
They come to you when they need,
Yes.
and when they need support.
Yes,
and so on.
Tyler's that way for his family, and I'm definitely a very big support for my family. And so we always laugh about it, me and Emily, because they say the oldest sisters, the family boss. That's me.
Yeah. Well, and I've heard somebody say once that in every
family
marriage or every relationship, there's a gardener and there's a flower.
Yeah.
He is for sure your gardener.
Oh, yeah.
Tyler?
Yes.
I have a gardener too.
Yes.
Yeah.
He's the flower.
I need a lot of tending sometimes.
Katie, there was one thing in particular that happened that made you know that you needed to come back from Florida.
Yes, I had one of my best friends from high school, Chris Kernage. Him and I stayed very close after I went down there. We've always been really good friends, and he passed away. But before he passed away, he was in the hospital, and during that time, I came home, and it was just something about coming home during a time that was very tough for me. I think I was 23 at the time. You know, that's something not many kids that young could go through, as losing a peer.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think it's one thing to lose a family member, grandma, grandpa, aunt, uncle, but to lose losing somebody unexpected and somebody your age and just so sudden and so tragic.
Exactly.
It was like going through that and just seeing everybody in the community come together for that.
That was
for his family, for his friends, and then the connection we all made with his friends at Kent State.
Yes.
I mean, it was just something that was just like, you need to come home. It's time, like nothing's stopping you. And it really puts it into perspective of just how important family is.
Yeah.
And
your community.
In the community. Exactly. And so that for that to me, I was like, I didn't have that in Florida.
Yeah.
I had made friends and stuff like that, but that part was missing. And
The
I
roots,
was like,
right? The roots aren't there.
exactly.
Yeah.
And so it was time to come back to the roots.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so even though it was like something that was so tragic and stuff, it was, honestly, I could feel like a lot of the big things that happened in my life that would be put people down and really put them out as far as instead it's made me get closer to God, you know?
Yeah.
I found my
love
paths and through that stuff, that's made me be like, okay, this is actually a beautiful moment because I can take in what's supposed to be something I'm doing.
Yeah.
Right on.
Instead of getting angry and bitter, and there's that
Exactly.
alternative, you know.
And
you get to decide, right?
I feel like that's a time where you really start to question things. And I've had that a lot come up with the things that have gone on in our lives of being like, a normal person would question God in this scenario.
Exactly.
And instead, this is who I'm turning to. I've really just found relief in that. And I think that's really what's been a foundation of helping me besides, Tyler and my family and their support.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And you can have a big life in a big town, but there's nothing like a big life in a little tiny town like we got.
Exactly. And it's true.
It's really,
And, I grew up down the road, 75 acres. It was my grandparents' farm. I mean, I grew up. That was my foundation. Like, my neighbors were my grandma and my great uncle and my cousins and my.
love that.
And so, I mean, you leave and you go and you're, you don't have that.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, so it was just like, I want to go back. I want that again. I miss them so much.
It was idyllic.
Yes.
And it's just so perfect, and to grow up like that and to have those generations so close together.
And I knew at a very young age that my end goal was to be a good wife and to be a good mother. And that was the only thing I had.
Yeah.
Like, I actually remember somebody asking me one time, what's your biggest fear? And I said, not being able to have kids. I mean, without a doubt, not even a response. Like, that was my fear.
Wow.
And
now you have three beautiful children.
Yes. And I just knew, like, that's what I wanted. And I didn't want that anywhere but here.
Yeah. Oh, and close to your mom, too.
Very
your
close.
Dad, what year did your dad pass away?
2016.
Okay.
Yeah.
So 8 years.
So Tyler and I we got married. We went on our honeymoon, and the weekend we came back, my dad looked at me across the table and he said, "Are my eyes yellow?"
Oh.
And we found out that week that he had bile duct cancer.
Wow.
Yeah. Wow. And it was very shocking because, I mean, you hear the word cancer and I mean, you see it and you hear it, but to have it actually physically affect somebody so close to you, somebody you look at as a superhero.
Right. Sure.
That was just devastating for everyone. And but honestly, even as scared as he was and stuff, he handled it so well. And he just, something I loved about him is that he would find like a goal of like, I'm going to reach this or I'm going to do that. And I felt like that kind of helped all of us, you know, be like, okay. And when I found out I was pregnant with Braxton, I mean, that was his big one. Like, I'm going to be around for that baby. And he did. He went into remission for, I would say he was around for probably 2.5 years after he was diagnosed. Not long, but long enough to at least meet Brax. And
and it sounds like he took you guys on a journey that made it easier for you once he was gone too. Which is, that's so powerful.
And, you know, and again, it's one of those things, he was sick and again, another time that, you know, could really probably make a lot of people crumble. And we really just got stronger. And, you know, obviously it was hard on all of us at different, and we all handled it differently. But those different personalities and all of our, because we're all very different, my mom, my sister, and I, and just us being strong together and then, you know, having the extra support of the family around us is really what kept everybody just there for him.
Makes a big difference.
It does, having that. And so when did you end up moving back in to your family home with your family? Was that right after your dad died?
After he passed away. So during the time that he got sick, we actually moved in with him.
Oh, nice.
Because Tyler and I had sold our house. And so we were like, well, we'll just move in there for now until we figure out our next step. Tyler was going through a big job change. And so it just felt right. And so we moved out in January, and my dad passed in May, and we moved back in June. And it was just a no-brainer. Like, as soon as we knew, like, it wasn't much longer, we knew, and actually it was Tyler's idea. You know, he was like, we're 100% moving in with your mom. Like, she's going to need our help. Like, because, I mean, she lived on a lot of land.
Was it 70 acres or something like that? Or had it gotten
her lot
smaller?
was around, I think it was... She'll probably be like, you're so wrong. But I think it was 5 acres. It was around 5 acres.
We're just estimating
5 to 7, I'm estimating. I don't remember. But
that's still a lot of acreage.
Yes. So we're having to keep up with that, keeping up with the house. They had a pool and a barn and all of that. So it was just a no-brainer for us to move in there. And then also to have Braxton around for her. I mean, that's just amazing. And then 3 years later, we had Blakely. So it was just like awesome to, I think, keep her mind off things, keep her busy. You know, and not feel lonely.
Like grandparents.
They had been together.
Grandchildren,
They had, my mom and dad had been together since they were in high school, sophomores in high school. So it was like, she was going to really miss us. And so we needed to distract her and really surround her with love.
And let her get through that grieving process, but have that support of you guys there and see these bright lights, you know, with having the grandchildren around. And that's so nice. And now you have a third one too.
Yes. Baylor. Yep. She was born in 2022, just turned 2. And oh my gosh, just the biggest spark of joy. I mean,
is she?
I say she's literally Braxton and Blakely like combined. Like she's headstrong like Braxton, but she's like adventurous like Blakely, but she's sassy. And
that's the third one they have to be.
Oh, yes. Right? And just spoiled rotten, you know, like just spoiled rotten. And it's okay.
Because you can always tell when things are spoiled. They take on a certain smell. And she doesn't smell. She's not spoiled. I mean, she's good.
No, she'll tell you. She goes stinky. So she's not too spoiled, I guess.
Now, were you doing real estate when Brax was born?
No. So that's kind of what led me there, I think, is that during that time we sold, Tyler had bought it before me, an old house in Xenia, right across the street from Nick's. And he had bought it in foreclosure, fixed it up. And then when we got married, we were like, he got the job on base. And that was a huge, you know, change in pay and everything from him going from the post office to that. And so we were like, let's fix up the house more and turn around and sell it. And so that's what we did. We made a huge profit off of it. And I was like, I love this. This is fun. So then when we moved in with mom and dad, we were like, let's do another one. Let's buy a house, foreclosure again. Let's fix it up. We'll live there while we're fixing it up. And then we'll turn around and sell it. And that was the original plan. And we had just moved in when dad passed away. And then we decided to rent it for a year because we didn't know, like, are we going to stay here? Are we not? Is mom going to want us here forever? I don't know. And so we rented it for a year and then we turned around, sold that, made a huge profit again. And that was the time that I was like, I think this is something I'll actually tell you a quick story. But I had a job interview at a corporate job to do sales. Very big company here in Dayton. And I went and met with them. First time I had ever done like a panel interview. It was me and 5 men. And I was like, 26, 27 years old. And I went in there, I was like, oh, wow, okay. And they just drilled me with questions, and I nailed every single one. Like, I just I just felt so confident. They asked me about myself. I told them about us flipping the houses and all of that. And so I just felt so confident leaving there. Well, I didn't get the job. But when the guy called me to let me know I didn't get it, and I didn't get it because of experience, and he was like, I have to tell you something, how I'm feeling. And I was like, okay. And he was like, I really think you should look into real estate.
Really?
Yeah. And I was like, what makes you say that? And he was like, you just lit up talking about those houses and how you guys had flipped them how you had made a big profit. And he said, I think that you should go down that path.
Wow.
And that was kind of it for me. I was like, okay. And so when Dad passed away, Mom was like, listen, concentrate on that. And that's what I did, and got my license and really took off after that. I mean, it was like,
what year was that, Katie? How long have you been doing that, like, full time?
I started in 2016. 2016 because I was pregnant with Blakely.
Okay.
Yeah, I was showing houses and having to pull over to, because I had morning sickness so bad. But I pulled through because I didn't want anybody to know I was pregnant yet. And I was just like,
I got this. I got this. I've gone through all these other things. I can do this.
And I did. And when I had her, I actually got a house under contract while in labor.
Oh my gosh.
And that's my
This is a committed real estate agent, right? She would, if we were selling our house, I would definitely call you, Katie.
Well, thank you. My broker, every time we have company meetings too, he's like, as soon as my name gets brought, this one did a contract while she was in labor with, and I'm like, oh my gosh, here we go again.
You're leaving a legacy.
So that's my story at my brokerage. Everyone knows it.
We don't have to talk about this today, but I am always curious about how the brokerages work. It's interesting. How did you decide to be with?
I actually decided on mine because 2 of my friends were at the brokerage, so I had heard of them. But then when I went to Hondros right here in Fairborn, I went there and the broker owner was my professor.
Oh, weird.
And so I was like, oh, I just love him. He's just so sweet. And, I kind of built a relationship with him, even though I had heard about him.
Right.
But then when I left there, I interviewed all these brokerages, and my number one concern was, am I going to have enough time for my family?
Oh, wow.
And so I didn't want a brokerage that I was going to go into, and it was just like, you have to follow our rules, because you heard my story of how I kind of just like my own path.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what I went off. And Home Experts was just so awesome about being like, we're here to support you.
Yeah.
Along with your, on your journey.
Yeah.
And we'll support you no matter what path you go down. And
on the personal side, your family side, as well as, Oh,
and it's a family-owned business. They're from Dayton. And so I love that I can just pick up the phone and I can call the owner.
Yeah.
And I immediately get a response. Even to this day, I literally sent him a question. I sent him a quick text last night because I had a question about the new stuff that's happening.
Yeah.
And he immediately responded. I mean, he's amazing.
Fantastic. And what's the name of it?
Home Experts Realty.
Okay. And so on your business cards, that's what it says on there?
Yep.
Awesome.
And I had asked, multiple agents. Obviously, when you're picking a brokerage, you're going to kind of interview them.
Yes. Sure.
And I didn't do that. Instead, I contacted agents at those brokerages that I was interested in and said, what do you think about it? And I got Home Experts, Mike Sogard at the time. He sent me a 5-paragraph email just about how amazing Home Experts was. And I was like, wow, this guy is very passionate about this place.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then the other ones, I didn't even get responses. And I was like, okay, so.
That made it easy for you.
Made it very easy.
Yeah. So do you want to talk about those changes that you learned about over the weekend?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
They've been going on for a while now.
Okay.
And basically, long story short, the NAR, they got sued. And basically, we're saying that the person that sued them basically said that they didn't like how our structure was for advertising that the seller pays for the buyer's agent. And so in the past, it's always been kind of the thing that the seller of the house pays the commission for the listing agent, but also offers compensation to the buyer's agent.
Oh.
Because the buyer's agent's bringing you the buyer.
Right.
It's always been that way, and it's always been negotiable.
Okay.
But they felt like it wasn't transparent enough that it was negotiable.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
But everybody that does real estate knew it was.
Oh, yeah. It's always been negotiable. I mean, technically, at the end of the day, as far as the seller side goes, nothing's changing.
Yeah.
And so, but it's just not advertising on the MLS anymore.
Okay.
A percentage.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
So in the past, like you would put in like the seller's offering such and such percentage to the buyer's representative, and now they've taken that out.
Huh.
So now they're creating that path of like, now you have to negotiate this.
Okay.
Like there's no we're not
automatic anymore.
Yes, you're not advertising it. It was always negotiable, but now it's like you have to negotiate it. They're not given any loopholes for people to not negotiate it, I guess.
So who sued them?
Somebody that sold something and they weren't happy with their real estate agent at the end of the day.
Right.
And at the end of the day, I look at it too, like there's a reason why this stuff happens, and there's a reason why they come up with these new rules. And at the end of the day, I really do think it's for the benefit of everyone.
Sure.
And I'm okay with that. I mean, I'm happy with the changes. I mean, nobody likes change. And so I think a lot of people are just like, oh man,
change is easy.
More forms for us to go over and fill out.
And everybody loves change.
Yes.
But so will it affect you? How will it affect you?
So how it affects me is that basically now when I do my paperwork with a seller, they now have to decide whether or not then.
Are they going to tip you?
Oh, it's not a tip, I don't think.
If they're
it's a percentage.
If they're going to pay you.
Right.
And so you have always negotiated your commission and you've always negotiated the buyer's commission, but now they can literally say they don't want to pay anything and they're going to let the buyer's agent come back and negotiate that. And for that side of things, I don't really feel like it's changed, but for the buyer's side, it has. So now if you are a buyer's representative, no matter what agent you call now, before they can let you into a home, you have to sign a buyer's representative agreement.
Oh,
this is totally new.
Well, but that means that you will waste less time with people who want your information but don't want to hire you.
Yeah, and I mean, you get that. You get people all the time that'll call you.
Kicking tires.
They want to quick just get in the house, but they don't want to use you.
Right.
Or they don't like the house, so they'll call the next agent on the next house. And that's just kind of been part of the game.
Sure.
And the buyer's representative agreement's been there before, but we never really enforced it. Just because I really think it wasn't really enforced because people just get uncomfortable with it. Of like, hey, I just met you. Sign this contract.
Here we go.
We haven't built a relationship yet, but sign this contract. And it's like when it came out that these changes were happening, all the realtors were like, all the lenders were like, this is changing everything, because in this contract, it basically says if the seller does not agree to pay you, the buyer will. And so you're having to put right there on writing that this buyer will pay you if the seller won't. And that scares a lot of buyers when they're already having to pay closing costs. They're already at their down payment. They got to think about a home warranty and furniture.
And they're trying to do math in their head.
What's the average number of signatures it takes for a person to buy a house?
Good question.
The average number, I'm going to sit at the table and you got a stack of crap that high. How many signatures am I going to whip down to buy this house?
A lot.
12, 15?
Oh, no. Way more.
That's insane.
I've signed it many times, and I can't tell you how many times I signed because eventually you blank.
It's like you don't even keep track anymore.
I mean, it's a lot.
It's a lot.
And nobody reads it as the person sitting. We count on you to know. That's why you get paid. Well, and I have watched you operate, by the way. I have watched. And so do not be fooled by this mild-mannered lady, because she is a superhero. Tiger when it comes to getting things done. I've seen you accomplish some amazing things.
And you know how to negotiate.
Which is and that's what I keep telling my buyers, because it is new and it's something that now I'm having to call. They're like, hey, Katie, for example, I had a friend today. I want to see a house. And I said, okay, well, can I call you? Because I got something to explain. And so I just went over with her. I said, well, listen, this is the new rules. You'll have to sign this. I don't want to just show up and scare you with this. And so I went over it with her over the phone. And then I sent it to her through email so she could read through it on her own ahead of time.
Right.
And then that way, when I meet with her at the showing, she's fully prepped for what's in front of her, and then she can sign it with ease, knowing that I've got her back.
So does the signature from her say that she's hiring you as her agent?
Exactly.
So I'm not going to show you this house until we've agreed that we're going to work together.
Yep.
Perfect.
And the thing is, though, is that there's ways that, and I think it's not really being talked enough about because agents are wanting to be like, boom, this is it. You have to work with me. And there's no getting out of it. And that's not the case. There's exclusive, there's non-exclusive, there's percentage, there's flat rate. There's all these different versions of it. A
little bit of a menu for selection.
And so it's very important that you're working with an agent who's up to par on knowing what these are.
Yes.
And so that's what I've explained to my buyers is like, I had a guy call me the other day. He's never met me. And I said, listen, I'm going to send this to you. I'm going to let you read through it and let me know if you have any questions. And he said, well, can I sign this agreement just for, this house? Like do it a day agreement? And I'm like, you totally can.
Yeah.
And then we can amend it and do whatever if we can get you under contract, if we get you under contract. I mean, there's ways to make it work for everybody. It's just having an agent that'll take that time.
And that knows what the options are.
Exactly.
Because there might be people that don't know, right?
Exactly. And I think a lot of agents, too, they're just getting this form and they're winging it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, that's one way to do it. Or you can go and learn what you're filling out. And that's what, like last week I went and took classes, so I know what I'm filling out. And right then, that's when I learned, like, oh man, there's all kinds of different versions of this. And I can do this and I can do that.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why is this scaring everyone? Yeah. And I think that the ones that it's scaring, they just haven't done the research.
Right.
You know,
I'm sure taking the class made you feel confident about what you were sharing.
Yes. And also just getting out there, and it's been very important to me the last couple of weeks to make sure I'm doing open houses.
Yeah.
Because right then I can get in front of people and kind of just like start talking to them about it because it's something people, if they're a buyer right now, they probably know about this change.
Yeah.
You can
it's been on the news.
Like a little workshop and at a showing.
Yeah.
Like people can learn
multiple people at once.
Right. And then you're getting, yes, you can sign. Yes, of course you can sign.
I feel like it's just, it's on the news right now. It's all over social media, these changes that are happening. And so I literally had a buyer walk in like, I'm not signing anything to my open house the other day. And I was like, well, let's talk. And so I talked to him about it, and then he left there, and now he's going to work with me.
Of course he is.
Yeah, he literally called me today and was like, hey, come, I want you to come see my house because I have to sell it too.
Wow.
And so, boom, I'm going to get 2 deals out of that because I took the time to educate him on actually what these forms are.
Tom, I only work with smart people. Let me tell you how this should go.
But he's just walking in and assuming, and it's like, oh, that's not the case, and I'm not a bad guy.
Yes.
Like, at the end of the day, us agents have this change going on, and I think a lot of buyers who are going to meet an agent for the first time, they're going to walk up and be like, I'm not signing anything with you, and just immediately look at you as a bad guy.
Right.
And we're not bad guys. I mean, this is a big change for us.
Sure.
Yeah.
And we're having to navigate this change, something that we've been so used to doing, and this is, all new paperwork, all new,
Yeah.
And so it's just really important to just know what you're talking about, and then everybody will be comfortable.
So aside from this, obviously this brand new, like hot off the press thing, looking back over your time in real estate, what's the biggest change that you've seen in your customers? Because the economy is very different than it was. The rates are very different than they were. The buyers and sellers have been through a pandemic or whatever situation.
That was wild.
What's the big? I can only imagine. Yeah. But how is the consumer different than they were?
I feel like I honestly think that the biggest thing that we've seen is because it was so crazy during 2020, 2021, that everybody got spoiled a little bit as far as interest rates. And yes, the
prices of the houses too.
The prices were higher, and a lot of people were going into like multiple offer situations and stuff like that. But at the same time, a lot of people who were determined to get a house knew that they could go in with a good agent and they were going to get the house. And now everybody had to get creative and stuff like that. And then now everybody's like, wait, hold on. Why are the interest rates this high? And why are the housing prices not any lower? And it's just like, well, that's just not how the cookie crumbles, you know? And so I think everybody, for some reason, got this mindset that because the interest rates were lower, that the prices were higher. And because now that they're higher, well, we should have lower prices. And don't get me, I've told everybody from the very beginning, like, yes, they will level out.
Yes.
And that's how I felt the whole time. And that's what I'm noticing is that it's more just leveling out. People aren't being crazy anymore. They're not going way over asking and throwing down tons of money just to make sure a house, like they can get a house and stuff like that.
Wild.
We don't see that now.
Yeah.
Instead, it's more of a like, I need you to come down and,
more negotiations again.
Yes. And which is fine. I love, that's the part that's fun for me. So I'm like, let's negotiate. And that's what I've been telling buyers and sellers, like just get what you can get and
flex a little.
Throw out what you can. So it's definitely the markets have been the big changes, and navigating people's personalities of what they read on social media, and then come in with this mindset of 2 years ago. Well, that's not the case now. And
so you're educating on that. It's here's the reality of today.
Yes.
Yeah. What else do you think that a potential buyer or seller should look for in a real estate agent?
I really think that it's different for both, but obviously somebody who's up to date with today's market, staying on top of everything. Somebody who is, you can tell, is a tough negotiator. I think we already expressed that. And then also somebody who's just has experience. Yeah. And I always say, like, I don't ever want to say, like, you have to be in the business, for 25 years. They're definitely successful, because I've seen a lot of agents that have been in the business forever and they're not great agents. Yeah. And I've seen agents who have had their license for a month and they've got that drive. Yeah. They got that drive and they would be an amazing agent. Yeah. So I never want to say that's the thing, but the experience is more on being able to do the research and to make sure that they are going to be taking care of you. Like, I think my biggest thing that's made me stick out, obviously social media was huge for me, but also just creating a friendship with my clients to where they trust me and they want to keep referring me. And that's what I've always said to, like, new agents coming in, and they're like, where do you get your business? I'm like, 90%, if not 95% of my business is all referrals.
What's the most?
90 to 95%?
Oh, yeah. I have like a small little lead system, but I barely work those.
Because you're busy with the ones that have been
referred to me. Everybody's either past clients or their past clients' family members or friends, or somebody I know personally from social media or something. I have made, if it's, I would say probably 90% is referrals, 5% social media. Yeah. And then the other 5 is my lead system.
Google.
Yeah. Yeah. Something like that they, come into my email.
What's the biggest number of houses that one, either family or one person, how many, who moves a lot? I hope we never move.
I know you.
I mean, we'll talk to you when we're ready to move. But some people move a lot, apparently.
A lot of people do move a lot, and it's usually growing families. Yeah. I had a situation where it was actually my very first listing. A girl called me. I love them. They've become some of my favorite friends. And she called me. She wanted to buy her first home. And they bought their first home through me. Well, then they called me a couple years later because they had a son. And then, so we sold that house, bought another one. Well, now she's got 4 kids. So they have moved and moved and moved. And she told me the last house was her last one. And I said, I'll see you in a couple of years. Because and she's one of those people too. She loves she stays with the trends. And so she likes to stay on top of that stuff. So I could definitely see her moving again. Right. But then also she's referred me. I've represented her parents on buying and selling. She's sent me to tons of their friends. And that's just been huge. And so I would say growing families, though, to answer your question.
I love that. How many hours a week, if I was going to get my license today and I wanted to be where you are now, how many hours a week do I work?
A lot of hours.
I know.
I couldn't pinpoint how many hours because every week is different.
You probably don't want to know sometimes.
I probably don't want to know, but it's a lot. I always say
more than 40.
Oh yeah.
Oh, 100 times more than 40.
I always say, I always said I didn't want a 9 to 5, so I've taken a 24-hour job.
Right.
Because I literally, I wake up I put my phone in airplane mode when I go to sleep. Yep. And so, but when I wake up in the morning, it's like ding, 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 ding. And I'm like, dang, how early do these people wake up?
They want to be first.
And they're still texting me until I go to sleep. And I stay up late. We're night owls. So I go to sleep probably midnight, 1 o'clock, and I'm still getting texts from clients. And I have my client right now, he works nights, so he just texts me all hours of the day.
And I've seen Tyler cover stuff where you've got to be at a closing, you're over here, but you've got a showing, and then somebody else needs to get in this gate. And I've seen Tyler running around like a maniac, offsetting some of the beating that you take.
Your clients are like getting 2 for 1.
Oh, yeah.
Is what it feels like.
And that's what happened, is I really took off so fast that it was like a year after, because I had just had Blakely. And I was like, listen, I need somebody that's just going to be able to help me.
Yeah.
And Tyler has the flexibility at his job that he could do that if like after work, and you know, he's got the same hours as most people. So it worked out well that he was like, I'm going to get my license too, and I'll back you up. And it was also a safety thing for me too.
Okay.
Being totally transparent. I like to have my husband with me when I'm going to meet new people. If I'm working in an open house, I like to have my husband with me.
Amen.
I don't know if he's the toughest person ever. I think he
looks
is.
really, really tough.
He's a whole lot better than, he's
And
kind of
I've
a
had
bow tie guy.
situations in my job where I think it was very good that he was there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, that was like, help me, but also I really need you too.
Yeah.
Like, you know, and he's been an amazing support when it comes to I really think if he didn't do what he does, he would be like full-blown real estate agent too.
Yep.
So he is doing a 9 to 5, plus he is doing real estate too. So he's got,
And then he's part owner in a roofing business as well. So
my gosh.
he stays busy too.
100%.
That one, he's more, you know, he's more hands off.
Yeah.
But yeah, we stay,
Hopping.
we're both just like go-getters.
Yeah.
I love it.
I love it too.
In our little tiny town.
Yeah.
Yes.
Anything else about the business of real estate that you feel like is important for our viewers and listeners to hear?
I just think the biggest takeaway is that real estate is, moving, whether you're selling a house because, you know, you're downsizing, it's time, the kids are out of the house and now it's time to move to something smaller, or your family's growing, you're getting married, or you're having kids, or you're going through a divorce, or your parents pass away. Either way, it's always big things. Just make sure that you hire an agent that's going to represent you well, that's going to negotiate well for you. Keep it easy for you, not stressful for you, because it's already a stressful time, no matter what your situation is.
Yeah. But the agent can kind of eliminate some of that.
I always try to tell my buyers and sellers, I tell you the stuff you need to know. But the other stuff, I don't overwhelm you with it, because it's just pointless to stress you out.
Yeah.
You know, at the end of the day,
that's
my job is to be their advocate and to protect them and to be their friend and to help guide them into the best situation that they're in. And I'll take care of it. I got you.
I got you.
And so I think that's the biggest takeaway is just when you're making that big move, just make sure you hire somebody that's going to represent you well.
I love that. Okay, so now thinking back from growing up on the farm and now living in your dream home, raising your family.
Yes.
What are you most proud of?
My family. No brainer. They are the best things ever.
Yeah.
They have been the best creation. They're my biggest and best foundation that has just made life so amazing.
Yeah.
No matter what the hiccup or hill is in the road, we've got each other. And I just love it. I love that I have a job though that, you know, they can be there with me.
Yeah, for
I don't know how many times my kids were with me at closings and diapers running around, and my clients were so amazing. So amazing to just, you know,
adapt
and let me do that. And now we're kind of, Baylor's little, but we're out of that phase of not having so many littles.
Exactly. And what are your hopes for the future?
I think the hopes for my future are honestly to keep doing what we're doing, but also I would like to expand more into, we have one Airbnb, but I would like to have more of those. And I think eventually would be probably starting a team.
I wondered that. It's one of those things I didn't know.
That I'm like, I would eventually like to down the road retire early, but keep it still going and still supporting younger agents or new agents coming into the business.
Absolutely. Yeah. If you could share some of your skills, I think that would be an amazing blessing to those people. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's what, you know, Tyler and I talk about it all the time. Like, we're like, yeah, we want to retire early and we want to do this and we want to do that.
What would you do?
I don't know.
If you're retired.
Knowing us.
Whatever they want. They'd probably go back in business.
We'd probably be flipping houses, knowing us. But I mean, at the same time, like, it's just be a little bit more hands-off eventually down the road. And then hopefully maybe one day the kids will want to take it over. Maybe, you know. No pressure, but it would be cool if they did.
They've been watching.
They would be, I feel like they're experts by now. They can negotiate a deal. I hear them. Braxton can negotiate some V-Bucks real quick.
Yeah, he's practicing his techniques on you and Tyler.
Yeah, we say it all the time. We're like, we have taught them too much.
Yeah, they paid more attention than we realized.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
So, what should we do? If, like,
Subscribe, like, and follow.
That's it?
Definitely
That's
check
it?
in with Katie and her team.
Thank you so
put
much
links.
for having me here.
We'll put links to
I
all your
love
stuff.
this that you guys are doing. I think it's amazing.
Oh.
I love Fairborn. And so it's been really a joy to sit and watch all, I mean, Tom Kirsch, hello, he was my biology teacher. So sitting and watching people from town be on this, it's just so neat.
Oh,
I love it. Thank you so much for doing
Oh,
this.
thank
You're
you,
welcome.
Katie.
And now you're
so
one of them.
sweet. Yeah. People
So honored. I appreciate it.
Yeah, and we'll include all of your links and websites and social media things in the show notes, so you guys can look for those, and we will see everybody next week.
Later days.
Okay, bye.
Thank you.
Well,
It was
and I
combo.
started to ask you, were you, because they get awards for age and stuff. Are you like in the President's Club or whatever?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
See, I started to ask you that, but if it would have been a no, then I would have felt like an idiot.
It's okay.
But it's okay. It's rolling now.
Right.
So we can
It's okay
right.
because you know what? At the end of the day, I love the awards. Don't get me wrong.
Yes.
But that's not my end goal.
Yeah.
My goal is to just represent the client well.